It's finally upon us. The last set of cross-conference coming live at you from Chongqing. Of course, we're still holding down the home fort here in Shanghai, but the Snake Pit is now about to contest against another victim. RNG, Royal Never Give Up, World's semifinalists, and now that they've got Uzi back, undefeated in cross-conference so far, are about to go head-to-head against the likes of Snake, who have only dropped 3 series across from them. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dom. This is Raz. And Raz, do you think RNG has what it takes? Will they be able to step free from the Snake Pit unscathed?
Maybe. That's my response. It is a good game. That's why I love to see it as the final set going into the cross-conference. Yeah. I mean, out of the cross-conference. It's mostly because these two teams are looking good. Sure, Snake lost to Rogue Warriors. Yes. That was unfortunate. And they also lost to Invictus Gaming, so the top 2 teams of the Eastern Conference really just made them look like a fool. And now you have the 3rd team, so they don't want to lose to all 3 of the top teams of the Eastern Conference.
This is where we draw the line in the sand. Okay, this is where we draw the line in the sand. Okay, this is where we draw the line. Exactly. But again, this is a very hype matchup because, like you said, Snake #1 in their group, now going up against the 3rd place in the likes of RNG. And when you look at the raw talent that RNG are bringing to bear, especially considering that RNG are bringing their A roster with Karsa and Let Me, it is going to be quite the challenge.
Yes, and it's mostly because the bottom side of the map, last time we saw Snake go up against
Rogue Warriors,
was the bottom lane getting smashed. It was Crystal having a really tough time going up against SMLZ. So now this time around going up against Uzi, who they both have similarities in lane strength. Crystal has to be on his game. Specifically, just individually in his own laning phase, needs to be on top of it so the laning phase doesn't fall flat for them.
That said, he's playing across from the best AD carry in the league, if not the world. It's Uzi facing across from him. And now pair up the likes of Karsa in the jungle, someone who enables his lanes and plays all across the map. And you look across from Karsa, and it's SOFM. He doesn't play that way.
Yes, he does not. A lot of it just comes down to Karsa focusing about the lanes and keeping those lane bubbles well structured so you can go at it. Uzi could have a fun time, Let Me could have a fun time, and he can just bully the enemy jungler, but he's going up against SOFM, who also kind of has a good idea of where you're pathing along. So both of these junglers, unsurprisingly, were top 4 of my jungle tier list at the beginning of the week. And now, this is why, going up against each other, this is a primary focus for them. Sure, everybody wants to look at the bottom side of the map to see how Uzi is going, but these are the 2 players that dictate that pace. Karsa really early on, kills and assists at 15, KDA, CSD, looking all fabulous. Meanwhile, SOFM, the best in the league at being able to place down the wards. He's done that when Snake has had their lows and their highs, just to keep them, I would say, keep himself with the information, proper information, knowing where Karsa, where the enemy jungler is, having his lanes, constantly working with him. That's why him working alongside Quoquo is going to be important so they can keep control of Raptors camp of the enemy team and have Karsa leashed down.
And this is why we look to the likes of SOFM's variability. The fact that he can play multiple different jungle styles for his team. Not only will he play late, but he can also play very aggressive. 10 minutes in, forcing this fight for Snake against Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, this is insane to see. This happened this week where SOFM, the rest of Snake, recognize that SMLZ is going to try and play for that late game style. Why not hit him hard, hit him early? This was 10 minutes, but there were a lot of plays 3 minutes in. That was just a very hectic game. While Rogue Warriors have that kind of style of trying to play early, trying to play fast. RNG, by the way, and this is why it's always nice to see these junglers' roles, what their position is, while SOFM can play slow, wants to be able to get the vision down and get the camps properly controlled. It's Karsa here.
He's playing fast.
He's playing fast, can play that Lee Sin, can catch you off guard. That's why I want to see how this game goes, because Karsa, he's a very intelligent jungler.
He is.
And he will be able to utilize his own laners to get against you. That's why having Karsa and SOFM is going to be interesting to see who gets control of these camps, gets control of Raptors. Because Raptors is so important for both of these players.
Is it not assumed at this point that if there are Raptors on the map, they belong to SOFM?
Yeah, oh, well. Karsa's not going to let that happen.
Okay, all right.
He's not going to let that happen. Xiaohu has been really like on top of it, on top of the game in terms of working with him. So that's why, even though we've been hitting on the bottom side of the map, and how strong both players are individually, and how Uzi's going to be trying to dictate the flow of the laning phase, a lot of the early game focus is going to be on who has priority mid lane, who has the Rise pick, because my God, Xiaohu's been doing so fantastically on the champion. And if he's able to push in, get control of the enemy jungler, it's going to be all right.
And now we've got our lineups. Flandre, SOFM, Guo, Crystal, and Hudya for Snake. Of course, in their home arena in Chongqing, they've only dropped 3 series so far. An outstanding performance ever since they've moved to their new arena and brought in Guo as their mid laner. You can already hear the fans. Their opponents on the other side, RNG.
Yeah, let me in the top lane, Carson in the jungle, Xiaohu rounding out the mid lane, and the bottom side of the map, Uzi and Ming, both phenomenal players in the bottom side of the map. And if we're questioning, if we're putting an eyeglass in the bottom side of the map to see if Crystal is really shaping up, this is the week to do it, because the beginning of the week was not good for him. He wants to round it out properly.
And here we can see even more stats getting further in depth, following up on that. Those ward per minutes, so huge. The CS differential in favor of Karsa early on, while the two junglers identical in jungle percentage. Still, it all comes down to execution. How is this early game going to be played out? Will SOFM try to play the slow, cerebral game, taking advantages as he has before? Or will Karsa find him and punish him whenever he tries to invade?
That's why, for me, the most important thing comes down to which jungler they're both going to pick. I think that Olaf and Skarner, even though it's been a big priority in the meta globally, but it's also going to be a major focus for them, because they want to be able to be much faster on the map, be able to get Scuttle Crab much earlier than the enemy opponent. Clear time is important. Olaf can do it so quickly, and that's why it's incredibly important jungler for SOFM, though he can kind of stray towards that and go towards Lee Sin. Meanwhile, we've just been seeing so much Skarner coming out of Karsa that it's fair to expect that it might be the same today.
And it's interesting that you bring up the likes of taking early advantage, because on 8.4, momentum is so important. It is very, very difficult to stall out games on 8.4, not only with the changes to Baron and Elder, but also the bannered cannon minion. And if Snake play their usual style with a 39-minute average game time against RNG, I don't think it's going to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point to make. And also another big thing about 8.4 is just the vision control. Even though we hit SOFM having strong, proper wards, that's going to hit hard when you can't go towards the tracker's knife. So I want to see what he's able to how he's able to utilize the early game advantage. He's gone towards more snowball Lee Sin picks, and if that's something he stays towards in this set.
Well, we'll have to see if we do get the blind monk. For now, though, it's up for our casters to get us into game.
Thank you, Mr. Roma. Now, before we get into this match, of course, I am alongside Clement, and I would ask you how you are doing today, but I have a more pressing question for you, which is, I heard you trash-talking me about my top lane champion pool, and I don't understand. You're a Kled main. How can you say that to me?
Hey, Kled actually won some games. Urgot, not so much. That's a fair point.
Okay, well, we're going to move on here. That backfired. So talking about Snake and RNG. Now, we do have to focus in on the jungle. It's what the analyst was looking towards, because I feel like, for me, these guys have very much inverted styles. Like, you look towards SOFM, and it's all about SOFM. You look towards Carson, it seems like he will play around those lanes. Yeah, definitely. Karsa is the one that likes to play more towards his laning phase. If you look at the way he ganks, it's usually his lanes are already fighting, and then Karsa jumps in. Yeah. While as SOFM, if you see him anywhere near the lanes, it's usually because he's already set up vision, he's already put tabs on the enemy jungler, and they're much more clean ganks. Exactly, he's kind of an extension. He's like the win more card that you play to get even further ahead of your RNG. And if we're looking at Snake as a whole, they've just played against Rogue Warriors. It didn't go so well for them, and now they're playing against RNG. Feels like we're getting to final exam territory for them, and RNG are going to be even, maybe you could even say they're a bigger beast than Rogue Warriors in terms of how they're playing right now. Oh yeah, RNG have a lot of potential on them, and if they win this game, then that will make them 7-0 over the West, finishing up their victory lap as well. So the big two questions in the draft are, number one, how is Snake's bot lane going to go? We heard it on the desk. Crystal last time against Rogue Warriors didn't do well. He's up against the #1 laner in LPL right now in Uzi. What's number two? Oh, sorry, I almost forgot about number two. That's a good question. Number two is, what is Guo going to play in the mid lane? Because his team relies on him to deal a lot of damage, so
he can't go on something like the Scion. He can't go on something like the Karma. That isn't Snake's style. If he goes on something like that, then the enemy team can collapse on Crystal far too easily, or they can turn towards the flank in Flandre. So he needs damage output. I like their ban pick specifically for their reason, because they're taking away the Scion. Scion is something that Xiaohu is willing to go on to.
And they're exceptionally strong in the mid lane, but it seems like RNG have not really identified the mid lane as something they can ban towards.
Oh.
As I say that, they just ban away
Yeah.
the Seer, but it will also be Jarvan and a Gangplank joining that one, Clement.
So a lot of this is pretty much very familiar for LCK viewers. Basically, LCK does not let the Scion or the Ryze get on the Rift, and then the team that bans those two picks Azir, and that's why we've been seeing so many weird picks coming out from there, the Xerath, the Ziggs, basically all the Azir meta counters. But RNG read that very well. They say, I watch LCK too, and they ban out the Azir.
Yeah, take that one away. It will be a first pick of the Vladimir, though, from Snake coming in here, and while that can be flexed towards the mid lane, the major threat in the top lane is probably Flandre, because we've seen some exceptional Vladimir play coming out from him. On the opposite side is Varus and Tam Kench from RNG.
Oh yeah, that definitely is a flex pick for them. They've known to flex it with the Ryze. So for RNG so far, they're looking for a very strong bot lane and just try to play through Uzi. I think they have the same read we do, and they want to punish Crystal.
Yeah, they've already locked in a super strong bottom lane here as well for themselves. Snake back on their side. It will be a Braum pickup. We'll see if they actually complete it here with an AD carry pickup alongside the Braum. We'll be facing down the Varus.
They want to pick the mid, but they also want to pick the AD carry here. The mid pool has almost been depleted. If they pick the mid now, the problem is that they will get countered by Xiaohu. However, if they pick the AD carry, which, like, Caitlyn would be the one to go, and my analysis falls apart because they actually snatch up the jungler.
It is indeed Sejuani in the end. Well, let's see if it's going to be the MLXG special we saw the other day using Lethal Tempo, or it's something else in the back pocket that SOFM has brewing.
That is a lot of pressure, though, so maybe the Vladimir... Well, they do have the Vladimir, so they can flex it towards the mid lane, even if the bans and the pinches do come through. So I guess that's why they're picking up Sejuani instead.
Yeah, focusing really for the jungler there. It will also be matched by RNG with their own jungler in the form of Skarner for Karsa right here. And we're back onto the bans.
Yep, Skarner, Karsa has been very well, doing very well on that champion, executing very well. We've seen in the clips him able to use his fast fingers and pretty much snatch a Xayah out of midair.
Yep. I would definitely be sad if I am the Xayah, because I've almost started the animation. I should be invulnerable. No, but Skarsa found... Skarsa.
Skarsa. Oh, there you go.
Actually,
nice.
accidentally just came up with a name for Karsa Skarner. There we go. Cassiopeia will be banned away alongside Orianna, so double mid lane bans against Guoguo. That's something you were hinting towards, Clement.
Yeah, so this really does pinch. Look at how many mid laners have been taken out of the meta. Gangplank, Azir, Cassiopeia, Orianna, Ryze, Scion, Talia. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bans in the mid lane. I'm counting Gangplank as well because we've seen that being played mid in LCK. So, whew, it's a massive test for Guoguo.
Make that 8 as Karsa. As Karsa. Karsa's in. Apparently everything that begins with K is Karsa.
That's Narsa.
Narsa, Ryza. Yeah, there you go. So RNG back up to them. It's going to be an instant lock of the Karma.
There's pretty much only Corki left from the champion pool of Guoguo at this point. But Corki doesn't go that well into the Karma. Karma is able to push him in early and secure mid lane priority.
There's a world in which Vladimir also gets flexed to mid lane, and then Flandre picks something else into the top lane. But Guoguo is definitely not going to be in comfortable territory. Karma will be faced down by the Cogmore coming in from Snake here for Crystal.
Right, so we're seeing what Snake is doing. They're setting up a composition where they can scale more towards the mid game. Of the two teams, they are the slower team. They're known for their miracle comeback team fights, so they are setting up for that. The Vladimir, if it goes mid, it provides much more damage in the mid to late game. And also the Kog'Maw is a pick that would that does scale better than the Varus as well. The Galio, Guoguo has been on this champion, but he doesn't play it often, I would say. It's more of a adaptation that they had to make an 8.4.
Yeah, exactly, and he's also facing down the Karma in the mid lane as well, so of course it's going to be poked and prodded in the mid lane, but hopefully able to find ways out of the lane to try and impact the side lanes right here as well. And Cho'Gath will round it out for RNG. That will go towards the top lane here for Let Me. So we've got 4 compositions. We just spoke about Snake, RNG. What are they looking for, Clement?
So RNG, they're just looking for early team fighting. They have a lot of speed ups on their team. If they can speed up the Skarner, they can instantly snatch someone. It should be fairly easy to kill a person with the Cho'Gath as well. What you're looking for is the combo of the Karma speed up Skarner, Righteous Glory, and just snatch someone out of the air. On Snake's side, they have a composition that's very good in team fighting and has much more damage in terms of the late game. They do have the Vladimir and also the Kog'Maw, both which are better late game carries in terms of their damage dealing. However, you can see for flex picks on the blue side, the problem with flex picking on blue is you still get countered anyway, because the enemy can then just wait and see. So the flex was mainly about dodging some of the bans coming out on RNG's second rotation. I don't expect FLICKR to have a very good time into the Cho'Gath, and that takes away probably the only point on the map where we feel like Snake has an advantage.
Sure, and it honestly just seems like RNG just have strong lanes across the board, and you have to look towards that bottom lane as well. Uzi has been taking names after Chinese New Year, mostly on the Ezreal, to be honest. It's like his Ezreal is his answer to everything, but he's going to go Varus this time.
That's hilarious. So he blind picks Ezreal, and then he picks Ezreal into bad matchups, and he manages to win both. So I really don't understand how he's able to get away with it, but this time he's taking it more serious. He's going on Varus, and that signals something. That signals that this guy is looking to smash lane.
Yeah, and to be honest, you look at Snake right now, they are still at the top of their standings in the Western Conference, but it seems like there could be a decline as you have some of these strong teams across now in the East starting to emerge, like RNG. We'll see if they can actually just do it today and try and make it the sweep, because so far the Snake Pit has claimed many victims, but I have a feeling today RNG might be able to make it out alive.
Yeah, and if Snake fall here, the narrative is going to be all for the East. The best team in the Western Conference, Snake so far not able to stand up to either Rogue Warriors, RNG, or IG.
Well, we're on to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for the first game of Snake and RNG. I'm going to give it over to the crowd. All right, you get 3, and that's where I'm cutting you off.
That's pretty funny, because the way the chants are going is that there's one wave of people screaming Chongqing, which is the city that's being played right now, and then there's another wave of RNG. So Snake not really heard in that chant.
Yeah, well, obviously the Chongqing chant's probably going to be for Snake. The fact that they are in their arena, always going to be packed up there as well. Never seen an empty seat in the house. Well, just take a look at RNG. They just placed some advanced vision down at the red buff. And Crystal maybe getting caught out here. Uzi, he doesn't have the chain aggression, but you do have Ming flashing forwards with the Lickitung. Following forwards, another slow comes down onto Crystal. He's getting chased out here. Another lick lands, last auto attack, and Uzi will find first blood.
And that's the worst possible case scenario you could have. First blood going over to Uzi on Varus in a bad matchup with the Kog'Maw. That's a nightmare, and that's such an overextension by Crystal.
That hurts. That hurts a lot. Coming into a scrim, if you give Uzi's Varus first blood, you're like, actually, probably grounds just to go next, to be honest. Like, that hurts so much in the bottom lane. He's going to get the push off here. Crystal's going to be late to lane, and he's not running anything like Spellbook, so he can't instantly get back to that wave. That's essentially a full wave loss plus a kill. And Uzi's going back to base on this, so he'll feel the benefits of the instant spike.
Oh, if he gets the cull here, that's going to be so nasty.
Hey, square up. Ming looks
he does go for the cull. That's just brutal.
This is disastrous, as Ming will not have his recall interrupted, but allows Uzi to go back to base here, and he'll be fine sitting in lane. He's got plenty of potions to deal with. FLICKR actually just taking a bunch of that damage to the face there from Let Me.
Oh, that's actually a very good damage calculation. He actually equalized the trade somewhat. Originally, Let Me was having the push in winning, but he overstayed on those 2 auto attacks for sure.
Yeah, it was the caster minions that really managed to even up the trade there for him. He didn't juke into the brush, which was surprising, but yeah, FLICKR will indeed get the advantage. And now Karsa, adding insult to injury, heading towards the bottom lane, looking to see if he can get anything done. Not going to happen. Move back towards his own jungle.
Yep, but Snake should know this somewhat because they did spot out where Karsa started. So they should be aware that the Skarner is somewhere around their vicinity. And let's look at the stats here. #1 in the KDA, damage per minute on 3rd. And damage percentage only 2nd towards, actually 3rd towards behind iBoy and SMLZ.
Yeah. #1 in CSD as well at 15 in the bottom lane. And he's played a decent amount of games now as well, you know. A couple weeks ago we were saying how much tape do we actually have on Uzi? Well, he's consistently played well for the last like 5 weeks, so I think we can say that Uzi is definitively quite good right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of people were worried about his form coming back after Chinese New Year. Yeah. Long extended break, 4 weeks missing in action. Didn't matter for him.
Let's see if SOFM gets something happening in the top side. I mean, he is usually, for the most part in the early game, a bit of a herbivore. He does like to go for those camps in the jungle versus ganking, but he will go for it if the opportunity arises. Karsa will do the same thing in the bot side. However, this has been warded out by Snake, so they will see this and give SOFM information to go back to base.
Yep, so both of them do spot out where the junglers are. There probably are no tower dives happening. Well, I've never seen anyone tower dive for Vladimir anyway, so definitely not happening. Just trading sides of the jungle. But I will say this favors RNG quite a bit because they're able to continue their aggression in the bot side. Well, for top lane, like, Letme's under no timer anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they trade sides that way.
This is a straight-up struggle right now, just trying to CS underneath this tower. Hootie having to use the Unbreakable just to stand in front of Crystal to allow him to CS these ones. That's 2 waves of advantage, even more than that right now for Uzi in that bottom lane. This is crushing. We'll see if SOFM is able to upset the balance, though, as it is moving in towards the river.
Oh, this is a really good pathing. Q's over the Dragon Pit. He is unspotted right now. Uzi still has his summoners, though.
I feel like the Sixth Sense is chiming in right here.
They
Uzi,
pinged him out.
Just kidding. He's actually just walking right into the bush, places down the ward. SOFM, can he make this happen? Well, Ming exists, so he's just going to gobble up his ADC and walk away.
All right, there was no minions to confuse Ming this time. He manages to get out quite easily. We did see in the mic check from last week that Uzi was not very happy about Ming swallowing a cannon minion. He's like, brother Ming, what are you doing?
Yeah, very, very upset. Though I will say that Ming grew a lot not being alongside Uzi. So originally when Ming came onto the roster, he had big shoes to fill, of course, and then he was alongside Uzi, and they kind of, you know, obviously taught Ming what to do, and you would see Ming kind of follow around Uzi like a stray dog. But then when Uzi left the team for a little bit, Ming started to grow into his own. He started roaming, started being a real shot caller for the team, has grown so much alongside the rest of his team. So now back with Uzi, you can see the kind of the fruits of that growth.
That was the most casual way I've heard anyone address to another person as a stray dog. I was, okay, I like the way you snuck that in there.
You see, so you can say whatever you want at the start, but the end, justify the means.
Yep. Both of them are canines, I assume.
Yeah, Uzi, of course, the little dog.
We call him the Mad Dog, actually.
The Mad Dog, really?
Yeah, he's
not.
Kwang Xiaoko actually means Xiaoko is puppy, but Kwang means mad. So
Okay.
like crazy mad.
Oh.
Yeah. It rolls off the tongue better if you do Mad Dog, I think.
Mad Dog.
Yeah, better than Mad Puppy.
Well, I feel like there's 2 forms of Uzi. Like, there is definitely Mad Uzi, and there's, like, you know, chill Uzi.
Oh yeah, he's one of the most polite and like jolly players I've seen in an interview.
Yeah, I mean, you've interviewed him, so.
Yeah.
But on the Rift, he can absolutely be a madman. And right now, this is, I would say this is more of the Mad Dog, as he is crushing this bottom lane. And there seems to be no sign of letting up either, because SOFM is in top side, farming Krugs again. So I think his bottom lane is just going to continue to suffer from Snake.
Yep, so the worst we've seen the CS lead go to at 15 minutes has been 65. You know, there's a chance that Uzi could surpass that. The 65 game was against LWX.
Ooh. Yeah, it's not even like we rate LWX low as an AD carry. Like, LWX is very much a competent AD carry. Yes, he's kind of a shotgun and likes to, you know, flash into enemy teams 1v5. But apart from that, very good.
Yep. Some would call that style. Some would call that mistakes, but that's what he is.
There you go. Moving into the bottom lane once more. Xiaohu was just getting some of this honey fruit, moving back towards the mid lane. And again, just constant cover for the bottom side of the map. RNG are just getting this 2 versus 2, and they are going to be uninterrupted. And I'm looking towards Karsa right now, and he's able to move to top side, he's able to match, he's also able to just farm up his jungle. If you look at the jungle CS, completely equal right now. No one's fallen behind the other. And we're looking at this matchup time, and we're saying, well, SOFM, because the team often plays towards him, like SOFM, will he really be able to upset the balance of Karsa? That was just rude. And then Karsa, is he going to extend the advantages of those lanes?
That was also completely unnecessary. So what Karsa is basically trying to do is he's just trying to keep the map split up. He wants his presence more on the bottom side of the map. He doesn't care if the top side gets completely taken over by SOFM. He's just there to support Uzi in continuing his laning leads. Well, what SOFM wants to do is, at some point, I feel like he needs to perform a lane gank. So lane ganks are very hard to detect. You need wards behind the tower. He can just walk up through the lane and then try to ult someone. And that's why I really dislike the play he made right there, because
He doesn't have ult.
yeah, he's limiting a lot of his options, and that was not worth it.
I assume that was just to stop a recall, right?
He was trying to see if he could get both, I guess.
Okay.
But getting the support is, like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, absolutely nothing, and it will take a little while for that ultimate to come back up. It's only half recharged right now for SOFM, so in terms of lane ganks, it will be quite difficult. He's moving towards top side, so again, probably pretty difficult to make it happen for Vladimir. And for now, SOFM is essentially just turned into a bit of a herbivore, you know? He's taken some camps away from RNG, but Karsa has matched him at every turn. Every time that SOFM is on Raptors or he's on Krugs, Karsa's also on the enemy Raptors or on enemy Krugs.
Yep. And Carson knows that all he needs to do is just keep that bot lane offense going. Like, he just needs to cover for that lane, and RNG will naturally snowball into a winning position.
For now, I guess the only lane we haven't really talked about is the mid lane, but this is just essentially completely evened out. I was expecting Xiaohu to maybe have a bit more of a CS advantage in the mid lane, but
I know.
So far, Gogo has just farmed it out evenly.
Yeah, welcome to 8.4. This is most of what LPL lanes look like. If you're just talking about the mid lane, then actually I feel like LCK's mid lanes are a bit more exciting now.
Wow, what a world we live in where
Yeah.
the LPL is less exciting in the mid lane than the LCK.
It's really the difference between regions. We like to play around our AD carries a lot more. A lot of teams are willing to have their mid laners not do damage. But most teams in the LCK, you know, they're saying, okay, I'm going to pick out a Azir. Let's see what you have. Vel'Koz, Veigar, Xerath. Okay, let's try it.
What changed from the start of 8.4 is, I'm going to hold that thought for a second as I'm looking towards Karsa, though he is starting to recall. So what changed from the start of 8.4? Because we were saying it's all about like the mid and the jungle synergy and how that's going to match up. And we even hear the players all the time talk about the 2v2s, but now the mid lane kind of seems non-interactive. What happened?
Well, people want stability in the mid lane. There's two reasons. Ganks are a lot more common, so you want stability in the mid lane. And the easiest way to get stability is to pick someone that just wave clears, and there's no ganking opportunities whatsoever. And the second reason is because Sion. If there's a Sion in the meta, the only thing you can actually do against him is just pick another person that wave clears. So, yep, those are pretty much the two reasons.
Checks out. I'm looking towards SOFM because he is looking for this lane gank now. He has his ultimate back. There is an advanced ward, though, that will catch him going into that bush if he steps up. Top lane Flash going to get a bunch of damage onto Let Me, but it's this bottom lane that I think has been pinged out. I couldn't see if RNG pinged out.
They know.
Oh,
they
yeah,
know
well,
now, though.
Yeah, because SOFM just walked into the lane. Yeah, now he's probably going to back away. No,
Skarner's
this is going to be
well.
engaged right here. Chain of Corruption down onto the Brom. Hudir backed away, and he has been latched onto by Karsa, dragged into the team, but he's going to disengage with the flash, and RNG will not get the kill, but they do get a bunch of summoners.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake there from me. He actually licks the minion. Isn't able to get the slow back onto Hudir.
A bit unfortunate in the end. It will send Hudir packing, but now SOFM sticking around just in case it's another gank from Karsa. However, he's already left. He's already up and gone. He's gone towards the mid lane, in fact. But this is being pushed in by Xiaohu.
Yep, so both sides reading that the lane gank might be coming. Karsa was in position for it as well. Just a bit of an execution fail. I felt like they could have gotten more out of it.
Yeah, but they still got a little bit. They still got those summoners, and plus the bottom lane is still vastly far ahead. Uzi has just completed his Guinsoo's Rage Blade. 1 kill, 120 farming past the minute, and you look towards Crystal, barely 90 farm right now on this card war. So in terms of item spikes, in terms of power, right now RNG are massively ahead in the bot side of the map.
Yep, and look at his items. He just finished his call and got the Rage Blade completed already. So that's a huge power spike happening in the bot lane. When Guinsoo's Rage Blade is fully stacked, and you can stack it on the minions, then the gold efficiency of that item is actually 170%, 176%. So it's a massive spike compared to when you haven't finished it.
Yeah, it's a lot, is what we're trying to say. RNG, they took the first Infernal Dragon, and there is another dragon spawning right about now, which Karsa is already sitting and waiting by for. In comes Xiaohu as well from the mid lane to assist, but he's still going to drag this one out. Let's see if Snake is able to contest, because SOFM is kind of far behind the play, though he is pathing towards his dragon.
Man, RNG have been on a roll lately, so that's the 4th consecutive Infernal Drake they've got so far. They are the RNG team.
Series.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of Infernals today. The last set, in fact, had 3 Infernals in a row. And now it's RNG with 2 Infernals, but then a Cloud Dragon. So
yep, script
5
confirmed.
Infernals in a row. Sometimes it happens. RNG. It'll happen. And again, SOFM moves into the bottom side of the map, but he's too late to the Dragon play. He won't be able to go for this gank. He just played a ward, so he's made his location known. And it seems like SOFM's been completely nullified in this early game.
Pretty much. The only place he really wants to gank is that bot lane. There's not much opportunity in the top lane or on the mid lane either. So the big point so far in the game has been, how has RNG able to defend Uzi and his aggression in the bot lane? And a lot of it does come down to back timings were pretty good. Yep. They didn't over push. They realized that when SOFM was going to pick up a buff, they would he would be around the vicinity, and they backed off. And also, Karsa was just there to match with him, so they've been fine constantly punishing that bot lane.
Okay, so what's going well for Snake right now? Looking towards mid lane, Guogo equal on farm. Galio hasn't gotten involved yet in any of these skirmishes, but he's going to be okay when he arrives. Top lane, we obviously look towards FLICKR being potentially, you know, a stronger player than Letme. Maybe they can force their way into the top side of the map, but Letme got the counter pick in the Cho'Gath, so he's essentially stabilized this lane. He's picked up Banner, so he's going to place Banner in front of Vladimir, and then he has to stand there and be sad.
Pretty much. So the only thing that's good for Snake right now is that they are playing a more scaling composition. They had more damage on their comp overall. However, RNG also picked up double Infernals, which negates a lot of that advantage. Basically, what they can rely on is that I don't think RNG is going to force anything major for a couple of minutes. They still have time to scale up in their lanes, but it will come down to a lot of teamfight execution from them.
Yeah, for sure. And there is a reason why Snake is at the top of their conferences, because they are able to execute on those team fights. They have shown macro, they have shown micro, so they should be able to come back into this game. Hopefully, that's what we're expecting for them, because they should not roll over and die right here. This is an extremely strong team currently in the LPL, so let's see what they're made of as we get towards that mid game. Yep,
they're basically the last hope of the Western Conference right now. And if you want to see how they start teamfights, it's typically because of their deep wards. FLICKR is known for those flanks when he gets into the enemy backline and just obliterates people. He's done it twice against OMG, Chelly. Chelly gets obliterated quite often, but still worthy to know that that's how FLICKR likes to start his fights.
Sure.
And also Galio that can just fly in on him when he gets into the backline.
That should be the combo. Submarine. I guess quite literally, because, well, I guess he turns into a puddle. He kind of turns into the water than being underneath, but same kind of thing. Coming with the Galio. And again, looking towards his bottom lane, the CS differential at 15. Let's see what it is. I would say it's almost 50, so Uzi is definitely punching above his weight, but he's challenging no one, because he is currently #1 in CSD at 15. So he's just increased his lead even further, and he took the bot lane tower.
His average CSD at 15 has been around 21. In this game, it's been 50. So, you know, he's pulling up his stats.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. It has just been matched by Legwinski's Rage Blade on the side of Crystal, however. So he has got that item spike, but I believe Uzi must have a lot of gold to go back on.
Yeah.
He stuck that tower.
Yeah, so he came back into the lane around 11 minutes and had that set of items. So he's well on his way to completing his wit's end at the point. And the big question is, where is RNG going to take their power spikes? Because they are ready and set to rumble. They want to fight on the map right now. And you can see all of them converging onto the Herald at this point.
Yeah, Karsa moving towards this top side. And this is a fast Scorpion. He's on his way towards FLICKR. Gets to slow down the stun as well. Plus the ultimate, but Ming is the only damage source. As Xiaohu has now arrived as well. FLICKR is just going to get gobbled up by Ming. You're not going anywhere. There's actually just zero way to get away right now. Another kill to RNG.
That was simultaneously hilarious and painful to watch. So a total of 5 seconds of crowd control coming out from that combination of just the Impale and the Devour.
Yeah. We may not do a lot of damage, but eventually, because you can't move, we will kill you.
Yes, we will beat you to death with our fists, even if it takes 5 seconds.
Now, Crystal and Hootie, they are stepping up right here and able to push RNG away from the Herald. SOFM also stepping up to cancel out the Spire. But for now, it won't be RNG making any more aggressive moves. It will just be the 1 kill onto top lane. But again, another incremental advantage to them.
Yeah, I really like how both teams played that section out. So it was a very polite exchange. Snake showed up and said, "You have no ultimates," and RNG were like, "Ah, yeah, you got us. We're backing off."
We've got it, we've got it. And Guogo back into the mid lane. What's he picked up? He has the Rod of Ages right now, moving towards the second item, just only that. And Xiaohu, he has an Ardent Sensor on his side, so he's very much looking to just try and support Uzi.
This is really interesting from Guogo because usually we do see the Galio go into Abyssal Scepter first and then go into more AP heavy items like the Leandries. But whenever Guogo plays Galio, he's like, no, I need to do damage. My team needs me. So he's always going to go ROA as the first item. It's pretty much teams on 8.4. If you don't have a very consistent AD carry and sometimes your bot lane goes kaboom, then you do put more pressure onto your mid laner to show up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just took a second to process ROAS, which means, you know, Rod of Ages.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. The Rod?
Yeah, the Rod. I got it. It's fine. RNG, they're going to kick off the Rift Herald right here. It's already down to half, and Xiaohu's pressuring from the side as well, but all Snake are basically forced into this bottleneck right now, but RNG aren't particularly pressuring them. We'll come down to a Smite Fight of SOFM steps up right here, which he just gets and steals away, and RNG just kind of let it happen.
And let me with the angry teleport. Like, "Arr! You're not getting away. Oh, never mind.
Well, I guess he will get away with it.
That was so casually done from SOF.
It really was. He just stepped up and smote it.
He's like, you know, I'm gonna take some honeydew here. I'm gonna check how the
Yeah, there was no
Rift
sense
Scuttle
of
is
urgency
doing.
as well. He was like, I'll get to it, guys. Don't worry, I'll come with the steal in just a second, but I've got to get this honey fruit.
His timing on those steals are so good. Like, he's stolen the most buffs and the most barons in the LPL.
But it was very uncommittal from, or non-committal, I should say, that's the English sentence, that RNG just didn't really want to fight over it. They were just like, well, we'll go for the 50-50 smite steal, but we don't really want to go for the fight. But they are able to convert that pressure into top lane somehow.
Yeah, I actually think that was a bit of a mistake. They should have been able to step up and just take that fight. 4v4, they're actually fine, I feel. Uzi's sitting on a huge power spike.
Yep.
Just playing a bit lax around the objective.
That's what it felt like, but either way, RNG still have the bot tower and the top tower taken down, plus the mid tower is soon to follow. Xiaohu's done major damage to Grogo's tower, so maybe while it hasn't resulted in a massive CS lead, he has managed to chip that one down with the constant pushing. So RNG, another easy objective in the mid lane, but they could also have a Herald on top of that.
Yep, just a bit of a missed opportunity coming out from RNG, sitting on those double Infernals and a team comp that was already set up in position. However, they are snowballing their gold lead pretty significantly at this point. We can see the lead going up to almost 5K. In this meta, if you're sitting on like a 7K deficit and Baron is up, it's actually very hard to come back into the game. That's something we do have to note. Snake are very much on very much on the brink right now. Sorry.
That's one of those moments where it's just like, I'm just gonna take a second, and we're gonna go back into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, Snake, we already highlighted that they need to be looking towards team fights, but also scaling. And it seems like this game is slowly getting away from them right now as RNG gain more and more ground. Like, you look at these situations. Usually, as Hootie is getting beaten down by Xiaohu in the mid lane, gonna change up shop and hit Crystal with that soul flare. But in the mid lane, it's like, can we hold the outer mid lane turret? Can we hold on to this last bastion of hope and hold on to ground so we don't get pushed into our side of the jungle and lose all vision? And well, right now, mid lane tower is on 150 health.
Yep. Look what RNG is doing. They don't want to give an engage for Snake to come back in the game either. They're just splitting up. They're happy to let Xiaohu and Ming just stay here. So the importance of this combo is that even if you land a CC on Xiaohu, it's very easy for him to escape, and it allows both their carries to take 2 different lanes and properly scale up. So it's a really good sequence of plays being done by RNG. They defend their mid with 2 people, and then they take the enemy mid lane as well. So great macro play.
So what you're saying is they protect, but they also attack, is what they're doing in this.
Yeah, they had a much more efficient allocation of resources. Yeah, it's just really well done.
Yeah, and Uzi has managed to pick up a bunch of extra farm in the bottom lane. He's now almost 70 farm ahead of Crystal in the bottom lane. Mid lane just went down, obviously, so RNG are able to now just go back to base, spend all the gold, come back, get into the jungle, plays down some of that vision. Next dragon has spawned, is a Cloud. Snake probably on, you know, really wanting to fight over this one, so it will be another objective going into RNG. And then we get potentially the stage in the game where it can start stalling out because you're trying to siege those inner turrets, but I don't think RNG are really going to stall. There's Baron open and available. They can pressure this objective.
Yep, they do have a lot of percent health damage from the Varus and just like the Tahm Kench and also the Secure from the Cho'Gath. So I think they should be pretty comfortable moving most of their assets to the top side of the map.
Which they have done already. However, there is an ace in the sleeve here for Snake, which is the Herald that was picked up earlier. So they'll place it down in the mid lane. However, 4 people from RNG are already here to receive the Herald. So there will be a bit of damage, or maybe it won't even reach the tower. It reaches at 1 HP, so almost nothing.
So the calculations for how much damage Herald does is he does 25% of his max of his current health to a tower. So right there, it did 0.25 damage.
Good to know. There we go. So negligible, but hey, it's something. But that was really good from RNG. They were able to neutralize the pressure from what was maybe a small mistake earlier. So it's like even that ace that Snake potentially had just turned into nothing. It fizzled.
Yeah, and look at RNG. They're splitting up the map so well. Like, that's the basic principle of League of Legends, how you get advantages. You either group up and kill people, or you spread out more and they don't punish you and you get more resources. And this is what RNG is doing. They're able to defend with 3 people, while at the same time cleaning up the side waves. So a lot of inefficiency coming out from Snake. Every time they group up and don't make anything happen, that's a huge deficit they're sliding back into.
Expertly done. Bottom lane, 3,000 ahead just on Uzi alone. That is essentially a full item. Mid lane, also going to be another 2,000 gold ahead. But really, those carries right now for RNG are starting to heart up. And looking towards this fight, you know, we are looking towards a team fight for Snake to come back into this. Definitely stacked up against them. You look at the 2 Infernals that RNG has, that's going to equalize some of it. And the fact that Uzi is so massive, front to back, good luck.
And they are starting to pressure this Baron. They're RNG, what they're doing now, even though they don't have all of their members stacked up on this point, they're trying to test Snake's reaction. They're going in with 2 people and seeing how afraid they're going to be, and trying to gouge how much time they're going to have on taking that Baron.
Yeah, right now I feel like they're trying to gauge. Maybe do some gouging in just a second. Hootie is going to get picked off though. He's completely separated from the team, and Karsa has him in his sights. That's going to be a kill over to Uzi once again.
Hootie unable to fly away in that scenario. His name does mean butterfly in Chinese, so we've seen some really deft reactions from him.
Well,
Not
he didn't
this
dodge
time.
like a butterfly.
Nope.
Nor did he sting like a bee, so rest in peace, Hootie. We will remember you. And RNG will go onto the Baron 4 versus 5. Here comes the teleports as well, but RNG, they're trying to turn this. They actually want blood right now. There's going to be a chain of corruption locking down S2FM as he backs away, but Guoguo, he's blipped from the team, and RNG will be happy with another sacrifice.
Oh, does he get away?
He's going to jump out, back to his team, turn it into
Stop
a 4
by
versus
Xiaohu.
5, but he's dead. S2FM trying to cover, and maybe now Snake will actually just end up falling for this one. Flandre in the depths of the battle, but he's just not got the doubt what. He just got all of his health back, but he'll still go down. Trades his life, however, with Let Me. The AD carry is dead. 3 kills to RNG.
That was a hero hold from Flandre right there, because this means RNG isn't able to start the Baron right off that fight. They were very successful in their early moves, a bit split off. They went for Guoguo. Guoguo able to use Hero's Entrance to get back with the team. However, good plays from Xiaohu as well, keeping him in the fold, blocking that E coming out. And they're able to pick off members. Great flank from Flandre to stop RNG's momentum and not allow them to move on to the Baron.
I mean, it was just like complete competence in his ability to be able to make something happen. Because we looked at that, he dropped so low, and it's like, there's no way. There's no way this is going to happen, but is able to stall them out.
So at this point, they're already down 1 member from Hootie. This is a 5v4 scenario. Look at Xiaohu's positioning right there. Manages to keep Guoguo within range of the backline, and they're able to pick him up. But watch Flandre. Watch Flandre. Watch his health bar. That's 1,051 HP he just restored there. Gives Crystal enough time to take down the Cho'Gath, and also saves his team from losing Baron.
You're absolutely right. That was the difference between losing Baron, losing the fight, and losing the game right there. And Flandre buying time, as you said, for Crystal, getting 2 extra kills, evening it up. RNG didn't have the members to go back to the Baron, and now we're back to an even point in the game. So we could see that again. And hey, Snake are making it happen in team fights. Who would have guessed?
Pretty much, but RNG are going straight back. They're actually starting immediately.
I mean, they're drawing them closer. Guoguo, he has teleport. He will be able to turn to the play, and Let Me does not. So he has to make the long trek down from the bottom lane right now.
Yep, they're still setting up on this area. We do see Snake have a very good ward in that brush. RNG are going to need to clean that up before they can really continue their camps.
Yeah, though RNG, we already spoke about it in Champions League, they are looking for these picks. They have Carson. Wow, they're actually all out of vision right now as they jump back onto the map. And again, RNG have started off this Baron. Let Me also walking up. He is with the team. The teleport hasn't been activated yet by Guoguo. Down to 3,000 HP. Where's the contest right now from S2FM? He's walking up. He's in range. Trying to get on top of the Spire, place the ward over the wall, but it has been counteracted.
RNG are so terrified of SOFM. He's stolen 5 Barons so far in the LPL, and they don't want it to happen again.
Looks like he's the new son of Baron. Can he make it happen again? His head's been dragged into the team, looking to burst down the jungler, but Guoguo able to support Let Me. Very low. He's going to be gobbled up by Ming. That's the kill onto the jungler. Ming, he's low, but he's got the Grey Health ready to go. Double knock-up coming in. And Ruzi, he's now unleashed. Flandre dives into the backline, but he's by himself, and Hemo Plague will go nowhere. It's a low team, but RNG, they go for it once more.
Such a massive hit coming out from Xiaohu, obliterating the backline from Snake and forcing them back. They don't have a smite anymore. It's going to be very hard to contest this.
I don't know about this one coming. They are very low, and Karsa is in the pit by himself.
Can he smite it?
Comes down to a smite, but he's so low. Crystal will take him out. RNG, they are so low. Crystal, he can make it happen. He walks up and he finally falls. I can't be surprised. Might be the final kill. Not going to be enough. And that will be the shield coming in to save Xiaohu. And now they try Baron again. They have a death wish, Clement.
A dicey situation from RNG right there. Is Hootie going to do it?
Oh, Let Me!
He gets the hero! All right, so great tense moments right there. RNG kind of backing out of the pit prematurely. I felt like they should have hung on and tried to secure the Baron with Karsa right there. He had a smite against no smite coming out from Snake, so that's what the team should have done, but they still managed to pull out most of the stops, clean up the fight, and get the Baron in the end.
I like how it started with RNG respecting SOFM, and then they were like, you know what, instead, we'll just lose our minds, and then go for Baron 3 time, dragging SOFM to the team.
That was ballsy from SOFM, so he basically like understood like, okay, if I'm getting dragged in, then we actually have a chance in this team fight. I have that frozen armor.
What a stat right there. 3,000 deaths, 9th in the LPL RNG. Congratulations.
Okay. I was not aware that was something the stat team was
hey,
going
we saw
to
it
celebrate.
the other day for Clid. Not for Clid, for Kid.
For Kid, yeah. Kid was the big one. So Lemmy's already too low. Xiaohu's very low as well. That's why they kind of back off from the situation. However, the main thing to watch here, Crystal actually is in a very bad position after he picks up Karsa, has his back to the Baron, and is actually executed by the Baron.
So RNG, in the end, will be able to pick up the Baron, if barely, and they still have it on at least one member, so they can group up around it, they can push down the mid lane, take this one out, and then move back towards the jungle right here. SOFM unable to get that steal to happen, but that was risky. That definitely could have turned the game on its head here. As RNG are still looking to push down this mid lane, just in case someone happens to appear, but they have the Baron up cannon minion, so they have the siege engine online.
Oh, they're trying to go on Karsa. That was a very interesting way that Xiaohu used the speed up. He actually put it on Uzi for him to try and engage. We thought it was going to be the Skarner mainly, but no, it doesn't matter.
Well, actually going for this engage. Karsa, however, he's found the Vladimir. Flandre happening to Zhonya's early, but the chokeout is split from his team right now. First, both top lanes will drop, and Hudia backing away behind his AD carry. And Crystal, he no longer has a front line in front of him. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but RNG, they have the base wide open for them to destroy.
Yep, and it's going to be a very tough defense right here. They still have a Bandit minion here, and they're looking for the end.
With this kind of minion setup, I don't really see a way that they'll be able to make a counteractive play here from Snake. Hudia is pushing up, and SOFM is already down to half. Crystal sitting behind his turret. They've managed to kill the minion, however, so it might live for another way. But Hudia, he's caught out, he's down. Uzi picks up another kill. And now the last Nexus turret down. RNG will be able to take game 1 against Snake.
Relatively fast game, 30 minutes and 41 seconds. Most of it, however, did snowball off of Crystal's early mistake. His adventure into the enemy jungle did not end well for him, and that snowballed even further as we saw Uzi pick up and finish a call by 10 minutes.
Yeah, the bottom lane was on Bottom Lane Island. Now, I'm very familiar with the top lane islands, as are you, Clement, but that was a little bit ridiculous, to quote Raz, because he had so much farm, so many resources over his opponent. We checked in on that gold value, and it was like 25 minutes, 3,000 gold ahead. Like, that Kog'Maw was never going to catch up. And while Snake looked very good, they were able to try and bite back in some of those team fights. They're already so far behind by that point. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the story. The defense from the early lead from RNG in the bot lane, and also the defense of their bot lane to continue to snowball that lead. And the middle and late macro game was pretty easy for them. We're just going to sit around Baron Pit and sit on our lead and try to catch people rotating around those bushes, and it worked out pretty well for them. Yeah, it made it pretty easy. You know, you have a Skarner, you have a Varus, able to use the ultimate, get those picks. And on the opposite side, I mean, Snake, they were bottlenecked. You know, it's like, well, we have to go for fights here, but we're not in a position to go for these fights, so we can try. And Flandre, he gave it his best shot, but it just didn't work out. Yeah, the tempo was controlled completely by RNG, and it went way too fast for Snake. I like what they were trying to do. They were trying to pick into a scaling team composition, and they had some good moments with Flandre on the flank, but too little too late. Yeah, the idea is that we'll see if they can do more in the second game, but to break down the first, we are going to send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, guys. And now we are going to take a look at just exactly how RNG were able to find the antidote to Snake's venom. Raz, you and I were talking about this a little bit during the game itself. Of course, it did all start in that pick and ban. That we got to see the Galio go to Guoguo, 5th pick, that far down. That actually took me by surprise because, yes, they got rid of the Scion. Yes, they got rid of the Talia and the Rise, but the Galio just seems like it works for someone like Guoguo when you pair him with SOFM.
Guoguo, or at least the Galio pick, works with a lot of compositions, Luxus. These, I would say, protection compositions, they work with more aggressive compositions. In this case, I think they had the Galio for a protective purpose. I'm sure a lot of bans actually went straight towards the mid lane. Orianna, Cassio, Azir, name them. RNG as a team were really questioning Guoguo's champion pool.
Yeah.
This is interesting because I think the Galio should have been a lot more aggressive in this instance. Sure, he's going to be getting poked a little bit down in the mid lane just because Karma's a great matchup in terms of being able to keep tabs on the Galio. But Galio has the ability to kind of burst the wave mid and then still look for the roams regardless if they're going to have waves at your turret. They should have done that this time around because bottom lane was a massive point of contention, and I do not think that Snake should have been playing back considering how many Infernal Dragons there were and how far behind the bottom lane
And
was.
this is something that we were talking about, right? That we saw the laning phase extended for so long. In the pregame, we were saying, hey, Snake likes to play a longer game, 38, 39-minute average game time. They're not super proactive during that early game. But you very clearly clarified why RNG were willing to play ball with Snake's game plan.
Yep. Infernal Dragons mean that, you know what, we can actually play that neutral point and freely get dragon after dragon, maybe roll the dice and see if there's a third Infernal Dragon. So they were fishing in that instance. And then, thing is, laning phase is what RNG is great at, specifically the bottom side of the map. We already saw the CS differential at 15 for Uzi is averaged at 20 a game. For every game, he's 20 CS ahead of his 80 carry opponent at 15 minutes. This time, it was nearly 50. Just because they were fine being in this long laning phase saying, okay, sure, you'll scale if you can get those items. I'm at my 2-item spike, especially with the call gold that I've got for myself. So they were playing it slow just because their lanes were working so well for RNG. There was no reason to break them open.
And of course, once they were able to break it open after that 20-minute mark, just controlling the river, controlling the mid lane, and controlling the Baron, sort of snowballing those laning advantages, with the exception of Flandre in the top lane, who actually kept pace and surpassed the likes of Let Me.
That's why I would want to use Flandre in this composition. Bottom side of the map, it's not just get level 6 for Sejuani and look for a gank. Bottom lane, it's set up for a TP flank for the Vladimir, because I think that throughout the split, he's been really proactive and his TPs have been phenomenal. They didn't give him that opportunity, and Vladimir, especially post 6, is great at being able to allow those flank plays to work. So that's one thing they could have done, especially if they move towards the top side of the map and then go for the top lane tower. That's another opportunity that you could set up for a TP flank. They didn't set those flanks up, and so the early advantage the Vladimir had wasn't utilized.
And of course, we're just talking about the skirmishing and the laning fights, let alone the team fights that we saw. Because this is Royal Never Give Up. This team went to semis at Worlds. They rush a very early Baron time and time again, but Snake looks like they're ready to fight.
Yeah, here's the thing about this one. RNG had some great wards to catch out Snake if they wanted to push past. So they kept the Baron at 3,000. So if Sejuani went in, or at least, if the Sejuani went in, she would be contested. They could have free hits on it. Especially, they were in a great position to get the pick off. Here's the worry. You see those blinking HP bars. Gives Snake an opportunity to push in and see how RNG will react. Switched up reactions where RNG, the 4-man lineup, move upwards while Skarner dies in the pit. That's the first mistake you see from RNG in the game, and this was a great opportunity for Snake to capitalize in a team fight, and they don't. It's unfortunate, but Uzi shows up in the team fight and they pick up the win.
Finally able to finish off the Baron as well, though we do see Hudya on the side with the concussive blows. Snipe! Oh, the last attack of Baron. So close, and our man of the match, no surprise, goes to Uzi as a result of that.
Yeah, gets a lot of damage in the laning phase, so damage to gold, 196%. That's mostly all on the Renan's Hurricane and the
constant AoE.
Rage Blade as well within the lane. He was able to just constantly weave him in, damage his opposing laner. The Kog'Maw didn't really get much of a chance to lane. It was just rough.
It certainly was. That said, we've now got ourselves a break on our hands while we get ready for this next matchup. Will RNG be able to walk free of the Snake Pit? Let's find out in just a few.